Greetings, Jessica Lewis here from Real Solutions for Real People, and thank you for listening or watching. Please like, please subscribe, please share this podcast, and by all means, we value feedback. So if there's something that you learned or something that you would like to learn, please feel free to reach out to us at info@rs4rp.com. You're probably listening to this through Anchor or many of the other podcast platforms, so please feel free, send us a message so that we know you're listening, and definitely share it so that you can educate your friends and family about some of the topics that we'll be discussing. So with that being said, today we're talking about anonymous LLCs. Dun-dun. You're probably like, what the heck is that? Well, guess what? Today you're going to learn a lot of it. Okay, so let's break down LLC. So LLC, people hear it as limited liability company or limited liability corporation. Either way, it is limited. Keyword, and that's why that first word is there, limited. So let's talk about the limited part of it. So most people, they obtain LLCs or they register LLCs with the impression that it's going to protect them in case they're going to get sued. Newsflash, not going to happen. And so what happens with a limited liability company is typically you are solely responsible for what happens with that. So let's compare it to a sole proprietorship. So people use sole proprietorships when that usually is their first way of registering their business. So it may be Jessica Lewis doing business as Real Solutions for Real People. And so what does not help you in that situation, nor does it help you in the LLC situation, is that it brings all your information to the forefront. So whatever name you registered on your articles of incorporation, that's on there. Whatever address you use, same thing. Any other contact information that you actually put on your registration for your articles of incorporation in both sole proprietors as well as LLCs, all is in the public eye. Hence, limited. So with that being said, if someone wants to sue you, guess what? They can very easily do it. Just as simple as looking your business name up on the Secretary of State site and finding out who owns the company. So keep that in mind for a minute. So the other side to it is limited, meaning a lot of people think by starting LLCs, whether it's a single member LLC or a multiple member LLC, is that they're sharing the liability. Again, it's limited. So the same way that you may register some kind of business for whether it's with real estate or some other kind of service or product offering that you have, please keep in mind that it's limited for a reason. And so it has almost the same properties as a sole proprietor would, meaning that it can be one person in that LLC and everybody knows who's actually the owner of it. So you're probably asking, okay, Jessica, what does that have to do with my podcast? So here's what I want you guys to learn today. We're going to teach you about anonymous LLCs. So that's where the limited is no longer limited. So anonymous LLCs are commonly used when you want to hide your identity. And why do you want to hide your identity? Because you don't want people suing you and taking everything that you worked super hard for. So let's get into that part. So anonymous means that you would use another person who does not necessarily have the access or the ability or the primary role of running your business, but they can act on your behalf to be able to act on the behalf of your company, whether that be going to court, receiving mail, answering phone calls, and even forwarding information from, unfortunately, lawsuits. So you're probably saying, okay, Jessica, tell me more about that. So an anonymous LLC is commonly used when you want to protect the identity of the members of that entity. For instance, I use anonymous LLCs when I'm doing all my major corporation business. And I'll break down how typically you would set up your company by having holding corporations and all that on another podcast, but for simplicity's sake for today, we're going to talk about using that anonymous LLC to register your other businesses that you may have to protect the identity of that entity as well as your other entities. We'll go into holding corporations later. We're not going to talk about that on this particular podcast. And so let's get into that part. An anonymous LLC typically is actually registered in the Secretary of State with a registered agent. So many of you probably like, aha, I've heard that name before. What does that mean? A registered agent is somebody who you gave permission to act on the behalf of your company, but they are not an employee of the company. So if something were to happen, they can easily withdraw themselves out of that position and easily put it back into your name or some other name and be able to skate out and not be held responsible at all. Registered agent offices typically are another great way for you and your business to not use your home address on your articles of incorporation. It also is a great way to have somebody who can serve as a virtual assistant. No, they may not answer all your calls, but if someone wants to get in contact with you to do business, unfortunately to possibly sue you, or to do other things acting on the behalf of your company, a registered agent is excellent for that. And why would you want to use a registered agent? Because that person, again, can act on the behalf but not be held responsible if something were to happen. And so let's move into that a little bit deeper. The difference between an anonymous LLC and a regular LLC is that the anonymous LLC allows for your name not to be on articles of incorporation. So you're probably asking, what does that have to do with anything? In the case that something were to happen where someone wanted to sue you, or let's say you got a crazy ex-wife or crazy ex-husband and they're trying to find you, if they know the name of your business and they look up your business name, they will never see your information in the record for the Secretary of State. And so that means they cannot find you. And in fact, they will most likely hit a dead end and be speaking with or contacting your registered agent. And so you're probably thinking, well, how does one get an anonymous LLC? So there's several states that have anonymous LLCs, but the best state that gives you the best benefits for anonymous LLC is between 4 states. You got Nevada, Wyoming, New Mexico, and Delaware. Okay, so those 4 states are good for different reasons. So most people register in Delaware because there's no taxes. Wow, that's phenomenal. They also have a business court. So if something happens, that person has to take you to business court. Business court usually work in favor of business owners versus a regular common plea magistrate court where not so much. They don't have any idea of how business corporations are supposed to work, and they're literally going straight off of regular common law versus business law. Nevada is great for that same reason, other than you not having to pay taxes. So Nevada does not give you a tax-free incentive, but they also have a business court, which will allow for you, again, if you go to court, you'll be treated more fairly than you would if you were in a non-business court. Let's talk about Wyoming. Wyoming is my state of choice because not only are the registered agents who are available in that state very knowledgeable about anonymous LLCs, they understand in and out of it, and they will happily register your business for you, as well as each year continue to represent you for a very small fee. Yes, there are registered agents in other states outside of the 3 that I talked about so far, but keep in mind, you want somebody who understands why anonymous need to be kept anonymous. Okay, that means that they will never tell that you are the person who is under that particular entity. So the last state, so to speak, is New Mexico. New Mexico offers the same thing. Okay, so you got Delaware, Wyoming, Nevada, as well as New Mexico. Again, there are registered agents in many of the other states, and we'll get into that in a minute, why you start out with your anonymous LLC and you go to your other state to do the registered agent in your home state. But you have to start in these other states first, even if you're not doing business there. It benefits you. And here's the main benefit. When you start your business with an anonymous LLC and then you move to registering your business with that same LLC in another state, when you go to register in your local state, again, they will not know that you own the company. Here's why. Because you use your registered agent in this other state and you're going to do the same thing in your home state. Okay? I sweat a lot. Please forgive me. And so you're going to do the same thing in your home state by using the LLC that you register in one of those 4 states with your home state. For instance, ABC LLC was registered in Wyoming. When you go to register your business in your home state, it's going to be registered under ABC LLC instead of, again, you. And another good thing, when we talk about not using your home address, when you use a registered agent, that's almost like having a virtual address. It's better than a P.O. box. It's better than, a lot of these other tools that are out there for you to use as alternatives to your home address. And so you now have somebody working on your behalf who can accept mail and almost act on your behalf, and you can use their address. In some instances, you can even use their telephone number. So instead of having an 800 number, if you're registered in another state, you'll be able to use the local number of that registered agent too. So again, the key to all of this, guys, is to look professional as possible, and make sure that you're protecting your identity. Keyword, anonymous. So let's put this all together so it's very clear. Regular LLCs are very similar to sole proprietorships in that they leave you open for liability, meaning if someone was to look up the information that you use on your registration for your articles of incorporation with the Secretary of State, say that 5 times fast, you will have all your information out and open in the public. When you use an anonymous LLC, it's not your information, it's the registered agent's information that's out in the public. So if somebody looks up ABC LLC, they will see that it's under a registered agent with XYZ company at XYZ address with XYZ phone number, and your name, again, is never in the public eye. Why does that benefit you in the long run? It reduces your ability to have your stuff not out in the public. 2, it stops people from being able to sue you. So we talked about trust last time. So when you have your stuff set up in a trust, then that means that they can't come after your things. But if you cannot afford at this time to get a trust because it costs a few dollars to set up, you will then have your anonymous LLC, which will not have your personal information on it. That way people don't know that you own the company. And then the last reason is a great alternative to you using your home address. Oftentimes when people are registering your business for the first time, they're literally using their home address, their cell phone number, and all these different things. When you want to look like you're in big business, when corporations, so people will always ask about funding, listen to our previous podcast on how to get funding and some of the things that are required in underwriting for you to get funding. And also it will educate you on oftentimes why one gets rejected. So back to what I was saying is that when you look like big business, you look more credible and more people want to work with you. When someone can look up your information and see that you're a home-based business, they literally will type in your address, and if it comes to a home, they may not take you seriously. And I'm not saying you're not doing serious business, but you look more professional and more credible when they type in your address and see that it's a corporation location or a business commercial location than your home address. Just some things to think about. In sum, an anonymous LLC is a great way for you guys to be able to protect yourself from liability, protect yourself from lawsuits, and more importantly, protect your information so that it's not in the public eye. When you're going into business, not everyone needs to know where you live. They definitely don't need to have your phone number. And a great alternative to alleviate the headache of people knowing all your information is to get an anonymous LLC. For more information about anonymous LLCs, if you have questions, if you have comments, please feel free to contact us at Real Solutions for Real People on Facebook and Instagram, and go to www.rs4rp.com and email us info@rs4rp.com and give us your feedback. If you want more information on how to set it up in Wyoming, we have that information too. We're here for you. Please know that this is not serving as financial advice. Please, by all means, consult with an attorney or some other kind of professional who can lead you to the next level. This just has been my experience with anonymous LLCs, and they've been fruitful in my business. And I just wanted to share this information with you so that you can protect your personal information. With that said, I again thank you very much for listening. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, and of course give us feedback and ask questions so that we can help you move to the next level of your business. You can have an LLC, but I encourage you to get an anonymous one so people won't be all up in your business while you're trying to do business. With that being said, we thank you so very much and hope you all have a great day.